Our Deputy President David Mabuza has urged South Africa to stand together to fight violence against women and children. He's launched the 16 Days of Activism campaign. Barry Bateman following this story for us. He joins us live. So Barry, we've of course seen the 16 Days campaign launched every year. How will this year be any different?
It's the big question, Shahan, and it's one we ask ourselves every single year when we have these big campaigns being announced. There are many promises made, but quite often we end up with a situation where they're simply not met. Just to give you an example, and we've got to look to the stubbornness of these high levels of violent crime being committed against women and children. The most recent quarterly crime statistics, which were released by Police Minister Becky Cele, reveal that between July and September, that's a 3-month period, there were over 8,000 reported rapes. You must also take into account that this is one of the most underreported crimes in the country. So you get a real idea of the staggering scale of these crimes being committed against women and children. Deputy President David Mabuza appealing widely, not just calling on government to play their part, but also on the community and everybody to contribute to a change in mindset, but also to identify the people who are involved or have committed these crimes against women and children, and to make sure that they are reported to the authorities so that they are dealt with. But on this issue of whether there's going to be any concrete action, whether it can be taken for, further or more beyond just promises, the Deputy President had this to say.
The 16 Days of Activism campaign should be about concrete and tangible progress to end of violence against women and children. It should never be just simple and annual ritual in our calendar of events. In a democratic and a human rights-centered country like ours, patriarchy cannot be used as a cultural basis for the oppression of women. Women can no longer live in servitude to men that have disregard for their lives and for their freedoms. Therefore, we call on all our communities to condemn any acts of gender-based violence and femicide, and where such acts manifest themselves, they should be reported to the nearest police station.
Now, government, of course, has been criticized for failing to provide adequate support mechanisms for GBV victims. How will this be addressed?
It's also one of those lingering issues. The support mechanisms and the available resources to victims of gender-based violence. We say that these people or, perpetrators must be reported, but how often do we see cases, Shahan, where a victim would go to a police station and they're either not taken seriously, or if somebody goes as far as taking a statement, the follow-up steps thereafter to gather the appropriate or the reliable evidence is simply not done. But then, of course, you end up with a situation where gender-based violence victims might be left without a home, a safe place. What is available for them to be able to seek a support there? Well, this speaks to the broader appeal that was put out by the Deputy President on civil society and the religious organizations as well, to come forward and provide the necessary support and, of course, to report the perpetrators of this violence. But on that broad support, I was speaking to Minister in the Presidency, Jackson Mthembu, and asking about this appeal to the wider community. Why is it necessary? And he had this to say.
Government can do everything that it can, but we can't have in every bedroom a policewoman or a policeman. We can't have in every house a policewoman or a policeman. Therefore, the call for action that we are starting today, that all of us as South Africans, either through our organizations, through our church groups, through our NGOs, let's all hold hands and put an end to this gender-based violence and femicide.
Barry Bateman in Pretoria, thanks for that.